Before we get into the episode, I am thrilled to announce that the EntreMD Business School is open for enrollment. The EntreMD Business School is the only school of its kind for physicians who want to build 6, 7, and multiple 7-figure businesses. Over the last 2 years, we have had hundreds of doctors go through the school with unbelievable results. Some of them run brands, some of them run private practices, some of them are coaches, some have other kinds of service-based businesses or product-based businesses. And we've had people come in and cross the 6-figure milestone, cross the 7-figure milestone, cross the multiple 7-figure milestone. You will be in a place where you'll get the coaching, the community, the accountability that you need to thrive as an entrepreneur, especially in the times that we're in. So maybe you've been following me for a while. Maybe you've been getting so much out of the EntreMD podcast and you've been wondering, how can I work with Dr. Una and the community more? Well, this is your chance. Come join us in the EntreMD Business School. It is application only. So go to entremd.com/business to turn in your application. I cannot tell you how many doctors have made statements like this. I recovered my investment in the first week. I recovered my investment in my bank account in the first 90 days. This is the best investment I've made in myself ever. I want you to have that kind of story, not just a story of building a great business that serves a lot and earns a lot, but having a business that gives you the freedom to live life on your terms. So don't wait any longer. entremd.com/business. And now for the episode.
Don't hide. Take up space. You're an expert. It's 10 years a minimum of training. You're an expert and you have the expertise and you have the experience and you have the stories and you have the wisdom and you have all of these things. The world needs what you got. And that's your legacy. That's a huge part of your legacy. So stop hiding.
Hi, docs. Welcome to the EntreMD podcast, where it's all about helping amazing physicians just like you embrace entrepreneurship so you can have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on your terms. I'm your host, Dr. Una. It is time for doctors, all of us, to come out of hiding. We hide, and I think about it, I'm like, I do not know who convinced us that we should stay in our lane, where we should be seen and not heard, where we're not the kind of people who can speak, or kind of people who could have YouTube channels, or kind of people who could podcast, who could have blogs, and all of this stuff. Meanwhile, we are some of the most educated people in the world. We have the best experiences. We have the best expertise. We have amazing stories. If anybody should be out there loud and proud, it should be us. But for some reason, we've been convinced that we should go hide. And I want to challenge you. This is my challenge to you. Like, we're done. No more hiding. I'm in the middle of a workshop. It's called the Profitable Private Practice Workshop. That's one of the workshops I do for the private practice community as part of our commitment to help private practice owners win in 2025. One of the things I talked about, which is something I said, you know what? I'm going to be so much louder about this. And it's about launching YouTube channels. I'm like, you're a private practice owner. This is one of the things that will distinguish you the most. And I explained it all, like the ROI on it, how easy it is to do it, all of that. And I asked the doctors, I said, if you did this, what would happen in your practice, right? And like, it will explode. It will definitely work. You know, I need to hire new doctors and all of these things. I'm like, but why aren't you doing it, right? And what came up is fear, right? Like putting myself out there. I don't like the way I look on camera. I don't like all this other stuff. And guys, this is the deal, right? Nature hates vacuum. And every time there's vacuum, something else will come to fill it up. We are living in the time of unprecedented misinformation. And we talk about this all the time and we're mad about it. But the thing is this, as long as we are silent, misinformation will continue to win. The louder we are, the more we can get the truth out there, the more we can get the accurate facts out there, the better for everyone. But nobody's going to do it for us. That's our job. We're the ones who got the education. We're the ones who got the expertise. We're the ones. And so we've been hiding from social media. And I want to tell you that it's done. We've been hiding from blogging. We've been hiding from being on YouTube. We've been hiding from podcasts. We've been hiding from writing books. We've been hiding from all of this. And I want to challenge you. This is my challenge for every physician. It doesn't matter whether you work a job and you're never planning to leave, you're an entrepreneur, or you run a private practice, whether it's insurance-based, whether it's direct specialty care, direct primary care, whether you are a speaker, whether you run events, whatever it is you do. do, it is time for you to own what we call an HQ, a headquarters for your brand, either a blog, a YouTube channel, or a podcast. Like, it is time. It is time. If we don't do this, our businesses suffer. If we don't do this, our patients suffer. If we don't do this, our clients suffer. If we don't do this, misinformation is going to win. If we don't do this, we give up so many opportunities, and we literally close the door on millions of dollars in lost revenue, lost opportunities, right? And oh my goodness, it's time for us to stop. Okay. It's time for us to stop. I've been podcasting now for 5, going on 6 years. I've been running a YouTube channel on and off for 6 years. But in my faith-based organization, I went all in on YouTube, right? And got to 10,000 plus subscribers in less than 10 months, over 350,000 views. I had a video that did 82,000 views and stuff like that. And it exploded, that organization, like completely. In 10 months, we went 5x. I want you to think about it. 5x. It was nuts. It's been nuts. It'll make such a huge difference for you, right? And so this is the deal. I want to take a moment to show you 7 reasons why you want to embrace an HQ, right? But the reasons are great. But before we get into the reasons, I want you to make a decision. I'm going to do this, right? We first of all make the decision, then we make the decision, right? We make the decision, the what, and then we determine the how, right? The first part is the decision, is the commitment. I'm going to do this. Okay. All right. So I want you to make the decision. We can't hide anymore. Like, why would we hide? We have the answer. Why would we hide? Our countries need to hear what we have to say. Why would we hide? Our clients need us. Like, why would we hide? Why would I hide? I have a mission to help 100,000 physicians. Why would I hide? I have a private practice with thousands of patients in a community, in a county with almost 1 million people. Like, why would I hide when I have what they need? Okay. All right. Reason number 1. Why would we do this? If you would own an HQ, YouTube, podcast, blog, and maybe I should even stop here and say this. I know some people say, well, I'll do a podcast. At least I don't have to show up on camera. Pick the one that works. There's an intersection. It works for your people and it works for you. I'll give you an example. For EntreMD, I picked a podcast, and I picked a podcast because at that time I was already doing YouTube. And then I did a survey and I said, what is your preferred way of learning? Is it podcast, YouTube, or blog? And I did that to be cute because I was like, everybody wants video. So I'm just doing this to fulfill our righteousness. And then I do the poll. And to my shock, the majority wanted podcasts. I'm like, what? At that time, I did not listen to podcasts. I don't know anything about starting a podcast. I'd never been a guest on a podcast, like nothing. And I said, oopsie daisy. I guess we have to figure this out. Okay. And then so I go and literally Google how to start a podcast. Okay. So that's where I start from. And I get the information, and I started from where I was right at the time. So I used my cell phone. I used my iPhone with the earphones that come with the iPhone. And I recorded it, my first 4 episodes in the basement, which, the HVAC unit was there. So not the quietest place in my house, but that's where I went and recorded the first 4 episodes, recorded the intro, outro, and then gave it to my brother and said, okay, edit this. And he's like, I've never edited a podcast. I'm like, if I'm a physician, I can figure out how to record a podcast. You're a keyboardist. The least you can do is figure out how to edit it. Okay. So he figured out how to edit the podcast, and that's literally how the podcast started. And now we're going close to 500 episodes and changing lives everywhere. Right. And so I didn't choose a podcast because that was my preferred thing, but that's the way you wanted to listen to. That's the way you wanted to consume the content. So here we are. Right. And for private practice, I straight on recommend YouTube. Like, let your face be seen. Let the know, like, and trust factor grow. It's just nuts what it can do for your private practice. But anyway, let's talk about this. Okay. Why? Number one, you'll attract all the patients and clients you want. You'll attract them, right? Because, like, especially let's talk about YouTube, for instance, the algorithm is the one that does the most heavy lifting, right? And so you have a thumbnail, title, topic that people are actually looking for. It will push it everywhere. And so this puts you in a position where people will find your stuff. You become more findable. It's same thing with a podcast. People are like, I was just looking and your podcast came up and stuff like that. So you become more findable. You already offer a great service. You already serve people in an amazing way,
but they don't know where you are. And this makes you so much more findable, right? So this is why we say yes to an HQ. This is why we don't say no to it. How much is it costing you in impact, time freedom, and financial freedom to not have an HQ? So that's the first thing. The second thing it does is that it converts your clients. And you might say, well, you just said attract. Yes, very different from convert. It converts your clients and your patients. How does it do this? Well, I want you to think about two private practice owners, Dr. Smith and Dr. Anna, and they're both dermatologists and they're both amazing. They both have websites. And you go to look at one website and it's a traditional website and static images, all that stuff, beautiful office, beautiful everything. And then you're like, wow, that's amazing. Let me check out Dr. Anna. If I don't like her as much, I'll just go with Dr. Smith. I've already liked Dr. Smith. And then you go to Dr. Anna, and then Dr. Anna on there has her YouTube channel embedded there. And so all the questions you have, like this mole I have, could it be cancerous? What do I do with my teenager's acne? All of that stuff. She has video after video after video after video addressing every single one of these. With every video you watch, what is your conclusion? Oh man, I can't wait for can I find a place to schedule this appointment online since it's 11 p.m. and I'm sure our office is closed? Like, I need to work with this person. I need to work with this person. Like, so Dr. Anna has a full-time employee, which is her YouTube channel, who's working on convincing you to come work with her, and she's asleep, right? Like, so one is that you attract patients or clients. And then two is that you convert them. Same thing, you're a coach. I want you to imagine being a coach and you know the top reasons why people don't want to work with you. And you have YouTube videos on all of this stuff. You have YouTube videos featuring the results that people get from working with you and all of that. With each video they watch, they're like, man, I need to work with her. I need to work with him. I need to work with her. I need to work with him. It's a full-time employee in your business, right? Okay. Number three is it makes you more referable. Listen, nobody's sitting at home. Okay, maybe the random person, okay? But most people are not sitting at home thinking, wow, what can I do to grow your business? This is not a thought that they have. They're thinking about themselves, right? But when they know, oh, I watched Dr. So-and-so's video about when I should be concerned about my child's poop. I'm a pediatrician, so, there goes that. And the friend is like, I'm worried about my kid's poop. And they're like, my doctor said that if it's not black, white, or red, there's nothing to worry about. Here, I'll send you the video. Boom. You become so much more referable. So much more referable. I like my doc. You could come see my doc. I don't know about that. I'm serious. Like, check out his YouTube channel. Boom. Right? Becomes so much more referable. You're a coach and you're talking about things people want to know about. You're a speaker, right? And people are like, listen, I'm telling you, she'll kill it on stage. She killed it at events. Check out her YouTube channel. It just works magic for you. Okay. It makes you so much more referable. So much more referable. People who are, like you have referral sources and I'm looking for a dog. I don't really know. And all this stuff. I'm having a baby. I'm looking for a pediatrician, whatever. And an OBGYN's like, yeah, check out this dog. She has a whole YouTube channel. She talks about all the newborn things you want to know about. It just makes you more referable. Okay. Number four is that it positions you as the number one choice. Listen. The speaker is always the winner. The person who is visible is always the person who knows the best, whether they know the best or not. This is the interpretation in the minds of the people. Like if this person is a speaker, they must know what they're doing. If they have a YouTube channel with all these followings, they must know what they're doing. We see that with influencers everywhere. They'll come up with some challenge. Everybody in the world is doing the challenge. And you're like, what is wrong with you guys? This is so stupid. But give them the alternative. You tell them what to do, right? At the end of the day, the speaker is the person who's number one. So want to be the number one pediatrician in your area? YouTube. Dermatologist? YouTube. Gynecologist? YouTube. Ear, nose, and throat. Like just show up. Ear, nose, and throat doc. Just show up and clean ears on camera. That's it. And you become the doc. Like that's how the human mind works, right? You want to be the speaker who's known for stuff? Kill it on YouTube. Kill it on YouTube. Like it positions you as number one. You host events. People are like, you mean? Let me tell you something. From my faith-based organization where I have the YouTube channel, if I came on that YouTube channel and said, you know what? I was thinking of doing, it's called Success by the Book. That's the name of the YouTube channel. If I say, you know what I was thinking we should do a Success by the Book conference. We'll call it Success by the Book Live, right? And maybe we'll do it in Houston and all of these things. I'm telling you, I'll fill up the place. Because it's like, oh, we hang out with you twice a week on YouTube and we get to see you in person. Let's go. Right. And so that's just the way it is. It positions you as number one. That's what it does. I want you to think about it. I've not even gone through all 7. But when you say no to an HQ, you're saying no to attracting clients. You're saying no to converting clients. You're saying no to being more referable. You're saying no to being positioned as number 1. How much is that costing you in impact, time freedom, and financial freedom? How much is it costing you? Too much. That's the answer. Way too much. Okay. All right. Number 5. Number 5 is it helps you streamline operations. Okay. It helps you streamline operations. So for instance, you are a private practitioner. I'm a pediatrician. Okay. And in the fall and in the winter, you're like, oh my goodness, if I have to talk about what to do about snotty noses one more time. Right? But they're talking about all day, every day. If you're an allergist, you're talking about the allergies, the purifier, which one is the right brand, over and over. Which medication? Is it Claritin or is it Zyrtec? Which is better? Blah, blah, blah. Flonase, which one is over the counter? And you're answering the same question over and over and over and over. How many hours could you save if you just made a series of YouTube videos? And when people call in or whatever, you're like, you get a link, everybody gets a link. What if you could do that? What if you could do that? You're a coach. And before people come to work with you, they have the same questions over and over and over and over again. What if those could be videos that you make? People are like, well, has somebody with this kind of problem had a win with you? And you just get all your testimonials and you record them. And when people are like, oh, I don't know, you're like, boom, here are 7 testimonials. Here are 25, 100 testimonials recorded. Right? So you streamline your operations. What are those questions that come up again and again and again and again and again for you, for your team? That's all content. You can create it and be done. You can create it like with a newborn. My baby's cross-eyed. Is that normal? My baby's poop is green. Is that normal? Breastfeeding and formula feeding, which is better? Over and over and over and over. That's content. And you streamline operations. You save hours. I'll give you an example. We didn't quite do it with the YouTube channel because I didn't know what I was teaching at the time, but it's the same principle, right? And so we did, as pediatricians, we did ear piercings for our patients and outsiders too. And our phone would ring off the hook. What kind of earrings? How old should they be before they do that? What is the procedure? How do you manage the pain? Da-di-da-di-da. And I remember walking by, my front desk person answering these questions over and over and over. I said, no, ma'am, no, sir. I was like, here you go. Pen and paper, make a list of the questions they ask you. And I took all of them and converted them into content. And the same place where they would go to book the ear piercing appointment, everything was there. Guess what happened? Those phone calls disappeared. Every last one of them, right? They just disappeared. And so that's the same thing you can do with your YouTube channel. And so now my front desk person is freed up to do her work as opposed to sitting on the phone answering questions about ear piercing all day. Right? Okay. So streamline your operations. Number 6 is personal development. Man, there is something beautiful and magical about doing something that you're not comfortable doing. Absolutely beautiful. Okay. So let me use my daughter as an example of this. So my daughter, her name is Cheta, and she's 16 years old at the time of this recording. She's homeschooled. And one of the things that I thought about, I said, what are the evergreen skills that I could give my kids? And so no matter what profession they try to pursue or whatever, they'll be fine. And I have a number of things, right? But 2 of them are communication and selling. Now you can learn to speak and you can learn to sell. You can figure the rest out. And these are 2 things that I really struggled with, right? And so I made up a thing. I said, okay, EntreMD, we have a merch department and I want you to go live every week in my Facebook group and you're going to talk and then you're going to sell. And so I training her on this, right? And so after everyone will come, we'll do a postmortem, right? What worked, what didn't work, what could we have done better, all of those things. So what are you going to do differently next year? Boom, she's going. She has done this 9 times. She's done this for 9 weeks, right? And in these 9 weeks, I have watched her become a much better speaker, much more comfortable speaking, able to deliver stories, able to give a talk and still do 4 strong calls to action in the course of the talk, making sales every time she does it. It's beautiful to see, right? And so sometimes people are like, oh, YouTube. And I'm like, really, it's not about YouTube. It's about what happens to you because you have to pull YouTube off. It's not about the podcast. People say, oh, you're a natural speaker. I'm like, no, ma'am, no, sir, I am not.
I've put in the reps though. Somebody in the EntreMD business school asked a question about doing Facebook Lives, and I told her everything about doing Facebook Lives. And I had done a training on the Facebook Live framework years ago. I didn't know how long ago, but I was like, yeah, I did a few. And I said, I'll tag you on it. So I tag her on it. And then I'm looking at the video. I let it play. I did this video in 2020. So almost 5 years ago. And I was watching myself speak. I was like, my goodness, like, wow, I'm a much better speaker now. What was that? That's like, I'm going to go ask her. I was like, what did you think? Like, you didn't know that version of me. You know what I mean? You become this massive personal development, massive. There's a great speaker on the inside of you, but you'll never know till you put in the reps, right? And then number 7, finally, is it opens the door for unknown opportunities. You never know, right? I've had speaking opportunities that landed in my lap because somebody saw a video that I posted on LinkedIn. I've had clients who have had paid board positions, paid medical advisory positions, paid writing positions, like for like Medscape and companies like that. I had a client who was flown out to Atlanta. She lived in a different part of the country to come create a course for Baby Center. Like, you don't know what comes out of it. Like, everything is not just tied to the business you have now. There's unknown opportunities. And it's just because you show up. So the bottom line here is don't hide. Don't hide. Take up space. You're an expert. It's 10 years a minimum of training, right? Multiple 6 figures in debt. Like, you're an expert and you have the expertise and you have the experience and you have the stories and you have the wisdom and you have all of these things. The world needs what you got. And that's your legacy. That's a huge part of your legacy, right? So stop hiding. If you have a podcast or a blog or a YouTube channel, it's time to relaunch it. And I don't mean go make an announcement, I'm relaunching. That's not what it's about. It's like change the energy around it. Maybe you weren't showing up consistently. Now it's time to show up consistently. Maybe you were holding back. It's time to forget holding back. All of those things, like relaunch it. Give it a facelift if you need to. If you haven't launched one, it's time. Every doctor needs a platform. You know too much. You have too much to give. If you're listening to this podcast, it's because you want to give, right? Give them, right? But it's time to do that. It's time to do that. And if you need support with it, you know where to find us. We'll be happy to support you along that journey, but it's time to do that. Okay. I know we're living in challenging times, but it's time to rise above the noise. It's time to create more than you consume. Right? Content is time to create more than you consume. It's time to publish. It's time to do all those things, right? Like, the world needs your voice. It's time to make your voice heard. I've made a commitment, and you're going to see me go wild with this stuff, man, because I'm telling you, our world is waiting for us. Okay. So I'm looking forward to celebrating you. I'm looking forward to you telling me about how you started a YouTube channel, podcast, or blog, and because of that, you have more clients. Because of that, your audience has grown. Because of that, you're so much more referable. You've shaved off hours of time in operations. Because of that, you're a much better speaker. You're positioned as number 1. You're a household name, and it opened up doors you didn't even know about. Didn't even make it to your vision board, but you have them now because you stopped hiding. Okay, so rooting for you. Go start it. DM me to let me know how it goes on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you follow me. And I'll see you on the next episode of the EntreMD podcast.